Hey there. So my relationships over 50 video has hit over 700,000 views. So I think it's about time for me to address something that I have seen over and over again in the comments. I'm Pam. Thank you for being here. Let's discuss relationships over 50 and maybe more importantly, relationships between men and women in general. What do I hear consistently in the comments? Well, the relationships over 50 video, please watch it if you haven't. Basically a warning about financial predators that go after male and female older people who are what I consider emotionally vulnerable. They've lost a spouse usually, or they're just severely lonely, and they've got a couple coins or anything that financial predator wants. So that is the premise of that video, and the message of the video is to all people, men and women. I do not want to see anyone become a victim of this kind of scammery, and it happens every day. And once that predator has their hooks in the victim, and they are very astute at identifying who would make a good victim, once they've got their hooks in, they won't listen to family or anything else. But the comment I hear most often is from men, and they miss the tone or the message of the whole video, and I hear, "This has been happening to men forever." They say that because in the video, I gave an example of an older woman I know who ended up having to pay alimony after she was screwed. Financially, people. Jesus. Okay, so that's like, they only heard one thing in the video and they've jumped in with this whole, "This has been happening to men forever. We've been victims and getting screwed over by divorce courts and alimony." Let me address this from my perspective. Now, first of all, 60-year-old woman, and I'm single. I'm not looking for anything. I've got my dog Nugget. That's quite enough for me. I support myself financially and everything else, okay? So really, I don't have a dog in this fight. Never been divorced. Honestly, I've had the regular breakup stuff over the years, but nothing filthy dirty, Haven't lost everything, nothing like that. So I'm kind of a neutral party. I'm going to tell you what I think about all of this and what I've seen over the years. Now, keep in mind, I was not born 60 years old. I wasn't beamed down on the planet looking like this as a 60-year-old woman. Once upon a time, yeah, I was a younger woman. I know what the games are, and I've got tons of female friends. I've seen it all, and I've got plenty of family who also went through these horrible divorces, mostly later in life. So I've kind of seen it all. I know what the games are. Let's talk about it. All right, listen, biology comes into play. There's no doubt about this. You can argue with me if you want, and maybe, I've lost touch. I'm 60 years old, maybe of a different generation. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think or if you vehemently disagree. Men, primarily, let's face it, even when you're younger, they're looking for somebody who's highly physically attractive, nice body, young, if you're older, especially young, not too young people, don't be sick, able to bear children. You're wired that way. Not your fault. The women, they're looking for somebody, a male, who has some power, money, earning potential, ability to provide. That power means they can protect. Both of these things set up a potential recipe for disaster if you don't override your biology with some freaking sense, okay? My biology may tell me, for example, when I'm at work, when my coworker gets on my nerve, oh, I just want to give him a smack. Okay, yeah, I need to override that biology if I want to continue to receive my paycheck and get a job. That's what I'm talking about. Men and women, you need to, okay, yeah, Guys, you can still look for that good-looking woman. And women, you could still look for a guy who's like solid and gonna potentially have a good future. But that can't be the only thing. My opinion, that's where people screw up. The guys, they find the hottie or whatever, and they get led astray like a little bull with the ring in his nose. Come on, Mr. Bull. The women play these games. Hell yes, they do. Come on, like I said, I wasn't always 60, and I know plenty of women. Of course, they play the games, just like the men do too. You know, they want this certain thing, and they stop thinking with this brain. Let's just say it, and they do sometimes. So they set themselves up to become these victims. The women, yeah, you can find the right guy, and the man, you can find someone that you're physically attracted to and you got that spark. Who'd want anything less? But you also need to think about the other important things that make a relationship what it's going to be. A partnership that can last for a lifetime. If you don't, yeah, you're going to end up in divorce court eventually. And I'll be the first to tell you, that system, it's rigged. It's very old. It's designed mostly, if you ask me, and I've never been divorced, it's designed to make sure the lawyer's bank account doesn't get harmed. Just calling it out. It is. It's designed to keep you emotionally fired up, fighting, while that bank account for the attorney, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching by the hour. Not even kidding. And you're destined for that if you only go by what your biology is telling you. And when you're young, fall in love, right? Because, whoo, he's, good looking, but he's got this money and this and that. And the guy, oh, you should see her. Okay, your brain has disengaged, people. Disengaged. Nobody has these real talks, honestly. This is my take on it. So all the guys out there that are howling that they got screwed over, yeah, no doubt that you probably did. But so did the women too, I mean, everybody is just unhappy and getting screwed by this system. It all goes back to people originally got married, fell in love, and went into the pink cloud or whatever of non-reality based on these biological drives and needs. They're not going to go away. We're human. They're not going away. You need to override them and look at the capacity for compatibility over a lifetime. How many people really stop and do that? I don't know. And hey, if I'm wrong, hit up the comments. Let me know, because everybody else wants to hear what you have to say and may learn from your experiences. Another part of the problem in my book, there's a gender gap in the emotional connection piece. Women, a lot of times, they end up walking away because they feel unfulfilled, and they've been carrying a lot of the emotional burden for years, sometimes even decades. Not getting the support they want, not getting the emotional, I don't know what you call it, food maybe that they need, the engagement. And unfortunately, I hope this is changing. Maybe with the younger people it is. A lot of men are not taught to be emotional and to engage in that way. They're more focused on bringing home the bacon, the coins, the money, and earning and providing. And they're like, what? What do you mean you're unhappy? You want to leave? I did all this. Guys, it's not enough. Not in my book. Anybody else, feel free, jump in. And this is part of the reason why you have these dang problems. And I hate to say it, especially later in life. I don't want anybody getting screwed over. Last thing I want to see is all the coins rolling to the attorneys, And in fact, part of me thinks a lot of the problems can be fixed. Not saying it's not going to be painful and a lot of work and everything, but they can be fixed sometimes. I really believe that if people are willing to put the effort in. All right, listen. So clearly, hopefully, you could say, I'm not ripping or blaming men or women. And I think it's awful when any humans really get screwed over later in life. It's not cool, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody. But I think that, in short, that's why it happens. Women, men, wired differently. You've got to put the time in when you're falling in love and getting into these relationships and think through it. And both sides have to be aware. Men, don't get all puffed up, your ego and everything, and played out by this hot looking woman. And women, don't be all, enamored by the coins and everything else. Think about what you really need over a lifetime and set that person free if they're not really, really, truly what you need at the core. Don't be a user. You know what? Saying that, a user, I don't even know that people start out with that intention, the men or the woman. I think it happens, or they're perceived that way once the relationship is on the rocks and the divorce attorney is involved. Then it's like, you used me. No, they went with their biology. Just like I talked about, they smacked the coworker. They didn't stop and override and think more and use totally up here to evaluate the full relationship and the compatibility and are we really on the same page and locked in a partnership for a lifetime. If you don't do that and you go with all the biological stuff, good chance you're going to end up in the attorney's office and he or she is going to be the one truly benefiting from this mess. Don't let it happen. That's my take on it. Guys, I hear you out there hollering, this happens to me all the time or to men all the time. I don't want it happening to anybody. Take care.